Good afternoon, everyone. Chris Berryman here, coalition builder and founder of Bringing Humanity Together. Welcome, everyone, to our Bringing Humanity Together live stream, which is today on Wonderful Wednesday, Conversations for Humanity. This is one of the three open forums under the Bringing Humanity Together umbrella where people can discuss topics related to the workplace, humanity in the workplace, in a very positive and constructive way. We want to know what the issues that are out there that are facing people today because it is our goal to both work with employers and employees to bring humanity back into the workforce. And as always, we'll be going live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, all at 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And just a reminder, we have a 15-minute meet and greet on each of those days. So at 2:45, we have a meet and greet live for our LinkedIn Live and YouTube uh, audience. So please get engaged and watch, and please share your comments, thoughts, uh, show topics, whatever that might be for you, because we love to have that great and engaging conversation with you. And feel free to invite your friends, your coworkers, your fur babies, anyone that you know who truly believes humanity can be uplifted in a very impacted way to be a part of something bigger than of ourselves and be a part of something bigger as well. Or even and also share the replay with them. And of course, I am your host for Conversations for Humanity today. Remember, every Tuesday is Share and Care with Sandy Chertoff. Every Wednesday, I host Conversations for Humanity. And every Thursday, Carl Flanagan hosts Humanity Happy Hour. As you jump on, whether it be on LinkedIn Live or on YouTube, please like I said, feel free to comment in the comment section. And also let us know where you're watching from too as well. And if you'd like to be able to jump on the broadcast with us today, there will be a live link that we'll put in not only into our YouTube platform, but also on LinkedIn Live. You will click that link, and then we'll get you on the show here very shortly. And if you're watching this, like I said, on the replay, please be sure to use the hashtag replay. And again, let us know where you're watching from and everything like that. So, of course, I am your host today. And here is my other great friend and mentor, Carla Finnegan. Hello, Carla.
Hey, Chris, how are you?
Oh, it's another wonderful Wednesday. It's another great day to be alive.
It's a rainy day here.
We need some rain. Bring it our way. We'll take some rain. We need it.
I thought I got it from you. I'll send it back.
Well, that's fine with me. It's right now probably it feels like it's in the upper 90s with the humidity, so it's kind of sticky.
Yeah, it said that, well, it rained for a little bit and then it stopped, but it's supposed to start again. And I don't know if I'm going to play golf this afternoon, but that's okay. I got
Oh, come on, those sips and tips for you again today.
Well, we were just going to play. I gave up on the tips and the sips. I wanted to play, but
I know you did.
That's okay.
It's always tomorrow.
It's all in God's plan. No, that was probably the weekend. So
there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
So I have a packed show for us today.
Cool.
Yes, and I'm going to start off once we get everything kicked off around 3 o'clock. A Seth Godin video that's in truly interconnected and intertwined with what we're talking about when it comes to collaboration and also growth too as well. And it comes from the mindset and premise of leadership versus management. And what he says there, I've thought about it, and I'm like, that goes right into collaboration and the growth if we see it that way. But he's going to show and share some great tidbits with us today. So we'll start.
Are we watching the whole thing?
Well, I'm not going to watch the whole thing. I'm going to do like bits and chunks of it, and then get people to kind of interact and everything.
Good. It was good.
And everything like that.
We ought to kind of slice it up and do the whole thing. It was great.
Well, I'm not a slicing and dicing kind of guy because I wish I could be able to slice and dice.
Well, that's all the pause. I mean, hit the pause button at key point. That's all you can do.
Yeah.
You know?
I wish I was that kind of social media guru that I can do slicing and dicing and have like a montage of the whole thing I want. Because, like I said, I think now the more I watch Seth Golden, he is basically saying in his own unique way what John Maxwell has been saying for years.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Yeah.
and Seth Golden, especially in today's day and age, he knows what he knows, and he knows it very well. And the video that we'll be playing today comes from the Nordic Business Forum that he actually spoke in Stockholm, Sweden.
Yeah, it was great. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, but his take on how we've done things for so long, and then the first part of this clip will go right into, well, why do you do it this way? Well, he's going to
He's
show a
always
little,
done it that way.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but he starts off with a bike race, and that bike race really kind of gets you to thinking. Wait a
Yeah,
minute,
that was awesome. That
yeah,
was awesome.
it gets you really thinking. Wait a minute, if a bike
Mm-hmm.
race is about using your legs, then why are we doing it this way? When you guys see it, I guarantee you're gonna be like, huh? What?
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know we can do that on a bike. Well, yeah, you can.
Well,
And
it's
see
thinking outside the box.
yeah, and see, that is why I love so much the environment that we can create. Now, like I said, not only as leaders in our companies and workplaces, but more importantly, that we can create that environment to such an extent. Not only do we create better environments, we can also create those environments with other people to not only have them be better people, but create those better results in tandem with that. And if you
Mm-hmm.
just let that naturally grow and flow, what can we not do and what can we not achieve? And it's all, I've heard this term more and more every day now. Community is unity.
Yep.
And if we can get unified as a community, not only in our workplaces, but also in our community which we live in, I believe those two communities will be as one as it's naturally intended to be. At least from that's my perspective on it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you can fix one side of the equation, the other side will come in lockstep after. It's almost like, again, like Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. And when people see that interconnectedness there, people will see, oh, here's your sign. Who's that guy?
Jeff Foxworthy.
But Jeff Roxworthy. What? Oh,
There's
no,
the sign.
the guy who says that, here's your sign, is uh,
It's Jeff Foxworthy.
he does say that.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was
No. Sorry. No, it wasn't Larry the Cable Guy.
it's not Leo the Carib guy. It's the other guy. I know. I guarantee you,
Bill Engvall?
Bill Engvall. Yep,
Okay. Yeah.
Bill Engvall. Yeah, that's
See,
what he does. He's
I
like,
thought
here's
Jeff
your sign.
Foxworthy was the one that did that.
Yeah, he's the one that does that.
Yeah.
And see, I've been seeing the signs for many years now, and I'm sure you have too as well. That those signs are there for the taking, and there to share with others and say, hey, what are you willing to do with this? And again,
Mm-hmm.
that Maxwell Minute email that I got this week about intentionality goes right into that.
Yeah. I was thinking about what we were talking about this week about collaboration. And a lot of people, when they think of collaboration, they think about, oh, we got to work together on a project. But I don't work on projects with people. I work independently, whatever. I think it reminds me of somebody that told me that they worked for a call center. And they didn't
Right.
even know the people that they worked with. They were all just lined up and they all had headsets and they were all making calls. They had no clue who they were working with. They didn't even know who was in the next cubicle because nobody interacted together. And it's not necessary collaboration to come up with a project. It's called getting to know one another. I mean, I'll meet some people on LinkedIn and I'll like their profile and I like maybe their about section and what they stand for and maybe some of the projects that they've done. And I say, hey, let's see how we can help each other out on supporting each other. Well, what would you like to collaborate about? It's like, well, hell, I don't know you yet. On your LinkedIn page.
Right.
Well, let's get together and know each other. There may be something that you're interested in that's not even on your LinkedIn page that I go, hey, I can help you with that.
Right.
I think people are just so like, you want to talk to me?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because for many years, me being on LinkedIn as I have, one of the very things that I most often or not do by, I guess, default because it's like a muscle memory thing and I just do it automatically. It's second nature to me. One of the things I automatically say to people, whether it be a LinkedIn voicemail or a phone call with them or whatever that might be, is how can I help and serve you right
Yeah.
off the bat? And they'd be like, huh?
Yeah.
What?
Oh, that's astounding to people because they think that they're being sold to or whatever. It's like, hey, what I have to offer is great. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. If anything, we leave a conversation with a great friendship.
Right.
And if there's something I could do to help you, you know, then fine. If there's something, if you think of me, hey, I'd love a referral or whatever. Or if you think of me because I've got this going on, you know, I've
Right.
sent I've sent people tons of information. Hey, I was thinking about you because of XYZ. You had mentioned this. And they're like, wow, you remember that? You know? And it's like, hey, let's get to know each other. We don't necessarily have to come into a conversation with something to collaborate on. We could just be talking to one another, you know,
Right.
and
Right.
find out what we have in common outside of what we do to get a paycheck.
Right. And the more that I think about it, Carla, I truly believe what's happened to us probably for many years is we've been conditioned from the aspect it's about me and me only. What can I do to just get by and not help anybody else? Or it's like what John C. Maxwell says in the 21 Year Laws of Leadership. Why were we even taught King of the Hill? Well, because we're willing to step all over people to get to where they
Yeah,
want to
climb
go.
to the top. Yeah.
Yeah. Why we were even taught that, I will never know. But that societal kind of ingrainment into our brains and a certain degree level of mindset to say this is the way you have to think has really, in some instances, not led us up to the path of our full potential. We have not gotten to the space and time that says, hey, this is available to me if I allow it to naturally occur in my life. And if I can step out of my model of the world just for a brief moment to see others' perspectives and other ideas and other ways of being and doing and thinking that will be a benefit to me. I believe once we, like I said, step outside of ourselves, just like I said, just for that brief moment, I truly believe that there's nothing that we cannot do or cannot achieve in any given dynamic. So, oh
Well,
my word, who is this?
hey,
Sarah, hello
hey,
there.
Charlotte.
Hi there,
How
how are
are you
you?
doing
Welcome.
today?
Very, very well indeed. Enjoying the discussion of what I've heard from it so far. So, yeah, I'm here. I'm really
You're never
pleased to
at a
be
loss
here.
to talk about anything.
And it shows. It shows what a wonderful relationship you both have.
Yeah.
Well,
So, how are
I
you
mean,
both?
and that is key, Sarah. It really is. Relationships are the key to not only success, but to growth and to connection, and the thriving ability. Because like I said before, once we are willing to step outside of ourselves to a certain degree and say, hey, what Carla says is going to be of great value to me, and what Sarah says to me is going to be of great value to me. But then again, if again about the law of intention, if we are intending to, like I said, truly step outside of ourselves and also give that back in return, that is going to really truly be a wealth of knowledge that we all share and all can be a part of. And then what's going to happen is that momentum swing will start kicking in when more people can be a part of that. Because, like I just said with Carla just a couple of minutes ago, to me, community is unity. And if we can, like I said, get truly unified around something that really pulls to our heartstrings and it's our passion and our purpose, and we don't think it is, but the more that we hear about it and talk about it and start really thinking and sinking it into our heads, next thing you know, oh my gosh, what can we not do? So I'm going to start off with this video from Seth Golden, and it ties. I truly believe that this ties in very well with the collaboration factor, the growth factor, not only personally but also professionally. Again, it's about that human development. To me, there's no personal development or professional development. There's human development. So once we really step outside of ourselves to that degree, I just truly believe this is what can be done. So I'm going to share this with you guys, and I want to get your take on the other side after I play this for a little bit. And I believe the tie-in is there. And once we see that tie-in, like I said, I just truly believe uh, there will be something so monumental on the other side of this that's really going to say, "Hey, I never thought about this." But like I said, here's Seth Golden. He's actually speaking at the Nordic Business Forum in Stockholm, Sweden. So here he is.
But I came today to talk about bike racing in Italy. Now here's a video, actual footage of a guy losing a bike race. And he discovers that doing the same thing over and over again isn't really the best method. And that perhaps if he tried to use aerodynamics a little differently, to play by a different set of rules, he could figure out how on the downhill he could get ahead of everybody else. And this idea that innovation might pay off now and then leads us to a whole bunch of thinking about management and what we ought to do next. Thinking that's confusing. So I came to talk about the confusion. I came to talk about the fact that we got a whole bunch of it wrong, and that it's possible, and there's an imperative that we think about it differently. So I've only given this talk once before, so it's a little disjointed, but I hope it's going to plant some seeds under your skin and make you think about it. The first big idea is this: leadership and management are different things. Leadership is not management, and vice versa. Management dates back to Henry Ford, to scientific management, to Frederick Taylor, to the idea that if we could build a job where an obedient person can do it and create value, we could pay people a lot. Henry Ford was able to go to the workers in Detroit and give them a 10x raise in one day, because he said, if you come on the assembly line and do what I tell you to, I'll pay you a lot of money. And that spread. It spread to the idea that we could use it to make truffles and chocolates, because as long as we get the system working efficiently, we're fine, right? And it went from there to another food business. This is one of my favorites. This is somewhere in India. They didn't have enough room to put the plates where the guy rolls next to the plates where the guy cooks. And so this is brilliant management engineering, because one person took an innovation and then figured out how to make the system more efficient. You might not notice because there's no sound, but when he's about to throw it, he hits the rolling pin so the guy knows to get ready. Anyway, what we discovered then is that big factories are more efficient than little ones. Big organizations where people are doing what they're told work. The River Rouge plant that Ford built was so big it took all day to get from one side to the other. That this idea that there's a top-down method not only works for cars, it works for almost everything. So this is an old slide 8 years ago. How far every person in the United States lives from a McDonald's. Now you can imagine that now it's even more yellow and less dark, because McDonald's figured out that management works. That a McDonald's manager is not supposed to innovate, not supposed to start selling spaghetti during the slow times to see what happens. That the job of people at McDonald's is to crank it out. That cranking it out and doing what we're told again and again, that works until it doesn't. And when the world changes, we're in trouble. When the world changes, management always fails because we don't understand how to go forward. And that's fine, you say, I don't live on Easter Island. It's fine, I don't have a book depository. Well, it's not fine if, say, for example, you used to work in newspaper publishing because you can see what happened. It's not fine if you used to be a travel agent because you can see what happened. It's not fine if you're one of the 4 million people who drive a truck in the United States for a living because self-driving cars. And it's not fine if you live on the planet Earth and the weather changes. Because the thing is, the world is changing whether you want it to or not. And it's changing faster than ever before.
So I truly loved that from Seth Golden, and that little video clip there just really, I believe it says it all. So, what is your thoughts on that, ladies, when you hear Seth Golden speak to that when it comes to management and leadership, and how we can actually interconnect that with collaboration that will lead also to growth? What's your thoughts on that?
When they were talking about McDonald's and the graphic of how close people are to McDonald's, it made me think of Publix.
Yeah.
During the pandemic, when it was interesting that people were saying, oh, well, Publix must have gotten a whole lot of money to be able to offer the COVID vaccine to people, you know? But if you look at it and in terms of the way that it was plotted out and other pharmacies were not able to provide the same service, Publix went out because what? In Florida, you're a mile, everyone is a mile and a half away from a Publix, no more. So it certainly made it more convenient for people to do that. But there were so many businesses that, you know, hit rock bottom because they didn't know how to negotiate the pandemic. They didn't know how to lead. They didn't know how to think outside the box. They didn't know how to make that shift. They only knew and what they had done for the past 20 or 30 years, maybe, in business. And they didn't collaborate together to say, what can we do to save this sinking ship? They just let the ship sink.
What's your thoughts, Sarah?
I agree with Carla quite a bit, actually, in relation to her sentiment. But I also think as well that it's quite odd that in the same token, those larger corporations couldn't, like you say, they let the ship sink, whereby so many smaller companies and were born out of that same period, unprecedented as well, So what is it that maybe these businesses were just not keeping up with the times? I mean, nobody expected, the pandemic. Was the response to it, and like you said, I think it's a bit odd, isn't it, that these companies found themselves caught short, in the way that they did. And a lot of them weren't prepared to sort of be able to transfer their businesses online. And I think that did have a major effect. And again, would that be down to leadership or management? I wonder. That, probably a bit of both, but definitely leadership.
Well, I truly believe, ladies, you guys are hitting the nail on the head every single time that you guys are coming on to these live streams, because you're bringing value, you're bringing insight, you're bringing that clarity. And for me, when I watch this beginning of this video from Seth Golden, the light bulb hit to me. I'm like, my gosh, yes, there is a different path. There is a different way, and the collaboration is there if we allow it to grow and we allow it to thrive. And the growth is also there if we again create better environments that will create better results. Again, ladies, I can't stress it enough. Everything that we do is interconnected to everything else. It's like Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. And the more often than not, when we let things just be for what they are, and we just let even people be who they were meant to be, that potential for growth, that potential for thriving, that potential for collaboration, that potential for that magic that will happen if we allow it to occur will be so much more exponential in scope. Because again, I will go to the 100% 1% rule from John C. Maxwell. Is again, if we are willing to give our 100% to that 1% each and every single day, because we can't be 100% 100% of the time, there's just no way. But if we are intentional, again, intentional enough to such an extent that 100% goes to that 1%, what happens? Collaboration starts to form because I'm knowing my place in space in that workplace dynamic or even that community dynamic that's outside of work as well, that I can say, hey, Carla is going to do her 1%, Sarah's going to do her 1%, Sandy's going to do her 1%, but what happens exponentially after that? It doesn't become just 100%, it becomes 200, 300, 400, 500%. And the more you let that grow, what more can we not do, and what can we not also achieve if we just allow that to occur?
Well, I think in some respects too, you have to let, especially when you're in volunteer organizations and doing work voluntarily, there are a lot of people that will jump onto the bus at the beginning and be all gung ho. They're all gung ho, but they're no action. So I think sometimes you have to kind of step back a little bit and allow those people to grow into being what they want to be for an organization. And if their walk is not matching their talk, it's okay. We need to just kind of let them be who they are. And I look at it that the right people will fit in without us trying to fit people in and hope that they're right.
Sure. Yeah.
Sarah,
If
what's your
people are
thoughts?
really passionate about what they're looking to do, they're going to step up to the plate.
I agree. And
They
I
kind of
think
love the idea, but they can't get out of their own way, or they just can't seem to intentionally want to make an effort. Then you just have to kind of bless them and release them and allow them to do their 1% when the time is best for them to potentially do the 1%. Should they say, hey, I'm at a place right now, I want to do more.
Yeah, I agree. I think also as well, as you both mentioned, it's the intention. And I think that once you're doing your 1%, you tend to find that naturally everything comes to alignment, doesn't it? You know, where things just kind of tend to fall into place somehow. So, you know, that natural shift will tend to come, you know, from your own intention as well. I think, you know, there is an element of that as well to be considered.
Well, I found another nugget, ladies. And this is going to be from none other than John C. Maxwell when it comes to collaboration. And this is what he has said on his YouTube channel about collaboration.
I'm
today on Minute with Maxwell. My name is John, and I would like to talk to you on the principle of collaboration, which is a higher level than cooperation. You see, when I cooperate with you, that means I sit down and we work together. But when I collaborate with you, down and I want to work with you. There's a difference between us just getting together, cooperating, that's good, and wanting to get together, and wanting to cooperate. It's that want that makes collaboration such a higher level word and a higher level walk than just cooperation. And what I've discovered is this. I've never collaborated with anyone that they didn't make me better. So when I go into a meeting with peers and people that are going to discuss an idea or talk about a way of direction for an organization, whenever I get together with them, I get very excited because I know three things about that meeting. One is I'll learn something. You cannot be around the table collaborating, sharing, that you don't learn something. It's just an impossibility. In fact, if you spend time with people and you're not learning something, you just really are with the wrong people. Trust me on this. The second thing I know that I'm going to pick up, though, is I'm going to pick up creativity. Because when you get good people in a room and they start collaborating, it's the synergy and the mixing of the ideas that gives the greatest ideas. A great idea is a result of several good ideas. Good ideas that are put out on the table. And it's going to be a wonderful time to not only learn something, but to really become more creative. And I find myself thinking things that I wouldn't have thought if I wouldn't be in the room with those people. Doing things I wouldn't have done if I wouldn't have been in the room with those people. You see, they make me better. They make me more creative. I'm learning from them. And the third thing that I'm going to learn when I leave that room and get out of that room is that I'm going to value the people in that room more than I ever have. I always walk away from those kind of meetings just kind of shaking my head as amazed. Those guys are good. Those ladies are good. Wow. I've got more respect for them. I value them greater because I've watched them work. I've watched them share. I've watched them build off of each other, play off of each other, get better together. So there's nothing I enjoy more. I mean, if somebody said, what is an enjoyable day for you? Just let me in a room with about 6 people that just love what I love and do what I do. And let's just make it better. Let's just put it on the table and may the best idea win. And let's just keep adding value to each other. And I promise you, I'm energized. By the end of that day, it's been a good day for me. That's what collaboration is all about. Wanting to work together. I sure hope you've got some people you like to collaborate with.
So isn't that amazing?
What did he say at the beginning? I had some interference about he doesn't like to collaborate with. I didn't catch it at the very first.
Cooperation and collaboration are two different things. So
he doesn't like to collaborate with people that won't cooperate? Is that what he said? I didn't hear it.
No. There's a big distinction because cooperation is basically almost like an need to kind of thing. You need to have that cooperation. But when you collaborate, it's truly about you're wanting to do that with them.
Okay. Yeah, I got that part. So, but I was thinking that maybe the part that I missed was him basically saying, I don't want to collaborate with people that don't want to collaborate.
Oh, no. It's about the cooperation because, see, sometimes cooperation doesn't work hand in hand with collaboration. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it doesn't. It's just like the analogy that I say with people every day. You get 2 tennis people on a court for a doubles match, and 2 of them, they just don't see eye to eye on things. They just don't really get it from one another. But they know, number 1, they have a job to do. Number 2, they know their skill sets. And number 3, they know that they can do what they can do because they know what they know. But then again, what happens when the cooperation factor is like I said, it's in an, and like what Brian says many times in our calls, it's in an order to or a need to kind of dynamic. Like I said, what John C. Maxwell just said there is when you collaborate, there's that sense of you guys both want to do that. It's innate to each other. So there's just so much potential there if we just let things naturally occur, not only in their lives, because I share with people every day. If we meet people where they are, they'll be more inclined to meet us where we are. Because see, we're putting out the invitation first. We're not expecting them to come right to us, especially from a collaboration factor. If you're willing to say, "Hey, I want to collaborate with you, Lisa, Sarah, Carla, on these kind of things," and John C. Maxwell gets a kick out of that. He said, "6 people in the room with me, and I will become better for it." I mean, what's that not to like about that? You know.
Yeah. Very true.
Well, I think to be able to collaborate together, you have to really know each other. You know, you have to.
Uh-oh. I bet you know who said this. Who do you think said that?
John C. Maxwell?
No. Carla knows. Carla knows.
I know.
Brian Sumner.
Oh, yeah,
Brian,
that's Bryanism.
we would love for you to join the call. Brian, please join us today because we want your insights on today's call, because your insights have been
You don't
great.
necessarily have to like the people that you work with, but you can certainly be respectful of them. You can be polite to them. You don't have to have them over for dinner, you know, but you could still be nice. You could still be nice to them.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
you may not like them because you may not know them.
That's right. Yeah.
But I mean, just imagine, Sarah, when you and I met, if I had contacted you with a message and said, "Hey, let's collaborate," you'd be going, "What are we going to collaborate on? I don't even know you," you know? I was telling Chris that you know, when I meet people on LinkedIn, it's, "Hey, you know, how are you? We've got commonalities together. Would love to know more about what you do. You know, see how we support each other."
Yeah.
Well, what do you want to collaborate about? Well, I don't really know you except for what's in your profile.
Sure.
So that's why I want to get to know you.
Yeah.
If you're not for that, that's okay. Just say so. You know?
Right.
I was like, I'm not going to chase you. You know?
Yeah.
I'm not begging you to talk to me if you don't want to talk to me. But like, it's like, why are you even on this platform? It's a networking platform. Getting
That's
to know.
right. That's right.
I know people for all different reasons, not necessarily from what I do as my passion.
Well, I can say this, Carla, in the time that I have known you, it is their loss, you know, if they don't want to build on that friendship. I will definitely say that.
Well, and I think it's important to understand, like Brian said, that you don't have to like the people you work with. But if we're talking about collaborating, I think it definitely helps to like the person you're working with. And so it doesn't necessarily mean you have to, but being
I think that on some
respectful
level
is
you want to
important.
get to know the people you work with. We were talking before you guys jumped on about how there are people that I've run into that work in call centers that they don't know the people in the cubicle next to them. There are, I mean, sadly, it can be the American way that you have people in your neighborhood that don't even know each other. You know, I've met people recently I've probably met more people because of COVID, because they have, I mean, I walk my dog every day. I've met more people because of COVID because they have actually been outside their house.
Right.
You know? And I actually started we have a thing called Next Door here. Actually started one from my neighborhood. because I was
Right.
thinking, you know what, we need to get to know each other. We need to watch out for each other. We need to, maybe get recommendations from one another. Hey, where can I get a gutter guy or somebody to paint my house or whatever? And I'd much rather support a small business than go to the big box store and get a contractor to come work on my house. I'd rather support a small business. And like, I met a girl that I saw her yesterday. I hadn't seen her in probably almost a year. And, I was talking to her. I said, I remember your name and I remember one of your children's names, but I'm not that good with names. But I remember some of the others. And we sat and talked for about 20 minutes or so. And I gave her my card. Her husband is an EMS, emergency medical services pilot. He's out in Kentucky, in the Virginia, Kentucky area, and he's only home every 3 weeks, and she's got 3 kids.
Wow.
If you need anything, I can go pick up something curbside for you, whatever, to where you don't have to get your kids out. She had 3 kids. Boy, she had 3 kids. She had one of her children get sent home with COVID. So she was in quarantine in her house with 3 kids by herself.
Wow.
And we need to be supporting each other in the neighborhood and watching out for each other.
Well, I will even take it one step further about Brian's comment about you don't have to like the people you work with. Yeah, get it. We may not have to like the people that we work with, but to create better environments that will create better results, at least show some respect, human dignity, and just take it from that. Again, I will say it and shout it to the hilltops. We can still build a better world and a better place, especially in our workplaces, and build upon what's already common to us. We can build on that. We can do that without question. But we can also build upon the things that are not in alignment to each other or not in synergy and any energy to each other. If we recognize that fact and say, hey, I might be a good quarterback like Tom Brady is, but I got a wide receiver who's always selfish for himself. But am I willing enough and intentional enough to give that wide receiver that football to go get a touchdown? Am I willing to give him that victory, so to speak, and go outside of myself and do that? And I think the more often than not that we, again, can go outside of ourselves to such a degree when it comes into a true team, community, unity dynamic, if we can go outside of ourselves and say, it's not about me, it's about our team and our organization. And that's why we have the mission statement as we do. Again, if I help you, you help me, then we help you. The more that we focus on others,
Right.
the better
I
we
think-
will be.
And without the quarterback, you're not going to score touchdowns because you have to hike the ball first. And who does it go to? It goes to the quarterback.
Yeah, I think it's important that we understand that, people are different, and it's those differences that actually strengthen the team. And so my personality might not work great with another personality, but that doesn't make either one of us wrong or indifferent. It just means we're different. And so if we recognize people's differences and respect those differences and respect what their difference brings to the table, the team's table, and that just helps strengthen the team. And then I think we can get around the whether I like you or don't like you. I respect you. I respect your differences. And whether we're going to be best friends outside of work or in a program or something that we're working on together is one thing. But when we're working together as a team and even beyond, if I respect you and you respect me and our differences, that can only help bring strength to the team.
Well, you don't have to have everybody that you work with over for dinner.
Exactly. That's why I said it's, that's
kind
something
to them.
totally different.
Because you would want them to be kind to you. It comes back to treat people the way that you want to be treated.
Exactly.
But,
exactly.
Well, I will go back to the thing that I really am so passionate about, and I've shared this with you ladies before. Sarah, this is going to be something probably new for you, but I truly believe this. Uh oh, here comes Brian. He is here. Hello, Brian Sumner. How are you
Howdy,
doing
howdy.
today, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good, good. Uh, back to what
And
I was saying though. Back to what I was saying though is where's the golden rule of business? We were taught the golden rule as a kid. Why can't we do it in our workplaces? But again, I have to go to your comments, Brian. You don't have to like the people you work with. Take it from there.
I think chemistry is overrated. I mean, there are numerous examples of businesses, sports teams that just get results. They don't like the people they're worth necessarily, but they either are successful and get a job done. Like, I'm not suggesting or mean to people, but this notion that everybody has to sing kumbaya and be friendly is a little overrated. It's a job. Do your job. Get it done. Get results, whatever those results may be, good, bad, or indifferent. Um, it's always interesting because we share a quarterback at the end and be like, oh, the team didn't like each other, or they didn't try hard enough. How do you know?
Well, just because you're saying that you don't have to like everybody doesn't mean the contrary, that you dislike them. You just don't
No, and I'm not saying that, but I
one way
mean,
or another, and then
look,
grab.
I work in an industry and I have partners and clients around the world. I don't have to necessarily like the people that I work with, but we have a job to do. You get the job done. Like, it's not a personal thing. It's not he or she was mean to me. I mean, people are going to say things, people get emotional, and we take offense to it for some reason, but it's a job. You get the job done or you don't. I get paid to help my clients, whatever it is, and I either get them or I don't. It's not real relevant, you know. Chris, you on mute?
And also, Brian, I really like for you to take a shot at what you just said in the chat of why do people always focus on differences and not similarities? I agree with you on that. Talk about that.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you look at what goes on in the world, everybody's so individualistic, right? I'm unique. Okay, but by saying I'm unique from you, we're in effect, I'm making myself different from you. We're actually moving away from each other. As opposed to celebrating how we're all unique and the same and bringing ourselves together, right? I mean, we're always putting ourselves in a conversation that seems to revolve around having to compromise around our differences, as opposed to coalescing around our similarities and working on strengths as opposed to weakness. If that makes sense. Like, I couldn't tell you how often I hear of different parts, different beliefs, different wants, different. Where's the story about what we all want, right? I mean, we're always working at with each other and trying to find somewhere where we're kind of trying to negotiate. But people are entrenched in their own beliefs, so it ends up becoming you're I'm right or you're not. We have that kind of which is just disagreement. It's just a way of saying no offense, I'm not going to offend you. So I guess it's just kind of why don't we look at how we're actually the same as opposed to being different? Like we want to be, I guess we want to be more connected, yet our language and our behavior is with that. if you really listen to what people say, talk in a very disassociated, disconnected way with one another. It's a little like saying, I'm over here and you're over there, as opposed to me saying, I'm over here and you're over here. That's connected. Over here and over there is disconnected. So it's just, maybe it's semantical, but we really just don't, I frankly don't care about your differences. We're different. Great. Awesome. How are we going to work together? How are we going to get things accomplished? What are we going to do? You know, I don't care if you're from Mars or I'm from Venus or whatever. I don't really care. We have an objective. Let's get it done. Move on. Like, enough of this kind of celebratory of whatever. It's just, we're here together and we have something to do. Let's do it. That's how I look at it, Chris. You know, it's either get the results or don't. Like, it's that simple. You don't want to work and get the result, then don't be here. Very simple. You have a choice. You know, and I have a choice. I don't have to take part if I don't want to either. You know, it's quite that simple. I know that sounds a little kind of at some level, but do what you want.
Well, I don't feel like it matters that we're all different. And I hear what you're saying about how people kind of focus on how, oh, we're all different, you know? It's like, well, duh, you know, I look different than you. I might have some different beliefs of Chris or Shara or Lisa or even you. And I might do things differently. But like you say, if we're all going to collaborate, we have to say, yeah, we're all different, but we're all the same in the fact that we're all here trying to solve a problem together. So let's get the work done.
Yeah, and look, I'm not saying that we shouldn't respect one another's opinions and ideas, but I remember once doing work with a company, and they were very big into the Myers-Briggs personality assessment. And I remember the person once saying they have their 4 letters of whoever in their personality in their office. And I just thought it very kind of strange, because it was like, well, now people know how to talk to me, almost as if they're incapable of whatever their 4 letters were. And they were so unique or that it's almost more important to recognize who they are as opposed to just getting the damn job done. Like, it almost takes the emphasis away from objective or an agenda of, okay, problem A in this company. It ends up becoming more about personalities, and he or she is nice to me or not nice to me, or I need time. That's not what you get paid for. You get paid for results. You either get it done or you don't. And I think the notion of this kind of take us away from that kind of objective, if you will. And I think people say, oh, everyone to think the same. No. To do their job so they're successful. You know, you look at somebody to sport, they just did what they did. They lost. They was either work or didn't. You know, it's like any other company. You do your job. You know, and if it doesn't fit for you, you leave. I've come before it no longer fit. But yeah, I unique card aspect of overused use for not actually getting results.
Well, I think that doing that assessment like that and having everybody identify with which group that they fit in, to me, it's like putting people in boxes. And it's dividing people. And like you said, not looking at our similarities, but dividing us, and you have this personality type, and you have this personality type, and you're this one, and you're that one. Yeah, it might help you understand where people are coming from to some extent, but you're also dividing people.
But we inadvertently do that for ourselves. We inadvertently isolate ourselves by calling ourselves so unique and different
Mhm.
that we then are like, oh, well, nobody relates to me because nobody thinks like I do.
Yeah, the premise behind those Myers-Briggs or personality tests are typically just to help people understand a different perspective than their own. Because I think people that have similarities, they can have trouble working together just as much as people with differences. So those personality tests are typically done just as an understanding. It's a way for people for companies or leaders, if you will, to help people work together. So the end result, obviously, is the result they're looking for. Obviously, they're trying to help people work together better so they can get the end results. So I agree with you a lot, Brian, that, yeah, similarities, differences, we tend to focus on the differences, but similarities are important as well. And these personality tests can take the focus in a sense because, oh, well, I'm this way or I'm that way, or, but it can help people understand. So if you have two leaders trying to work together and they're having a difficult time working together, the end result isn't going to happen as quickly as it should because they're conflicted with each other. And it could be it could be in their similarities, it could be in their differences. So again, I think companies will focus on these personality tests as a way to help people understand the differences as well as the similarities that each person has and how it will correlate to the team environment so that the results can happen quicker. But that's just the perspective of HR.
I went to
interesting
a
you phrase
luncheon
it that
service
way.
for that, and I traveled 45 minutes at lunchtime to go do that. Ate lunch, they did the presentation, and I will be honest that it did not make an impact whatsoever. And everyone was sitting there thinking, you made us drive 45 minutes for this. Now we got to go back and call everybody before we can leave at the end of the day. It didn't do any good.
Well,
Yeah, and some of that's in the
frame...
approach. I took a leadership course, and the pre-work or the prep work was as a personality test. And so you got your results, you took that to the training, and then they grouped you into people like you, who were in a group with people who were like you. And each group presented kind of their typical behaviors. And again, it was a representative of a team that works together. You have these people that are similar, you have these people that are different. And so the focus was on just understanding these similarities and these differences and how one person, you can approach a person that is in this group differently than in this group because just of the way that their personality is. And so, for instance, if you have someone who we'll just use the reference type A personality, and someone who is not a type A personality, typically type A personality, people focus on the high level details. Someone else maybe wants the whole story. Maybe type B wants the whole story. If I go in, I'm type B, and I go into a type A person and I try to tell a story, I'm going to lose them. And so again, this training was based on, okay, it's just good to understand where people are. And then you use that as a way to interact with one another so that you can get the results quicker because you don't spend all this time trying to figure out, well, why didn't they listen to my story? So that's just my take on it.
So I want to hear from Sarah, and then we'll go to what Brian just said. So Sarah, what's your thoughts on what we're talking about right now?
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree with most of the viewpoints. I would say that, in terms of, I think there is a lot of focus on what makes us different, but I also think as well that through those differences, people are able to sort of find things that they are into, and respect, in terms of those differences in order to produce an outcome, or desired outcome.
So Brian, you just said anyone else finds it fascinating that we need to rely on tests to tell us how to interact with other human beings. I'm fascinated by that. I love that.
Yeah, it's just an interesting. Look, I'm not saying we should or shouldn't use metric personality. And I've gone through many through my career. Good, how far away you are from whatever it is. I find it interesting that we use these to help and other people to actually getting to know or understand from our humanity in many ways. In some ways, it kind of takes us out of that. It's like, oh, I'm going to read some questions, answer some questions that I've just given you, Chris, and get the result, and now I'll know about Chris, as opposed to, hey, Chris, let's have a chat. Let me get to understand you a little bit better of how you work. It's just they can accomplish the same thing. Interpersonally, we're very good at putting things in boxes and processes and dehumanizing it to some extent, to actually sitting and having a conversation. Four of us are right now. We could spend an hour on a different level, or the alpha file, Myers-Briggs, call them whatever you want, which is more effective. These metrics outside of our to get answers. That's all, Chris.
Yeah, and Brian, I agree with you. I think, the focus is on these tests that's going to, be the backbone of how we interact with people. And so I think the focus has gone on that for whatever reason. And maybe it's because people don't necessarily know how to make sense of the things around them, personalities that are, so we do in general in business tend to focus on those things. Let's figure out how they're, what personality they have and how they work so that we can, ensure they're with the right team or whatever, see how they work within a team, when you could do more team building, if you will, and interactions. Having those interactions would do just the same and probably be more effective. So I don't know if anyone's taken any of those personality tests, but some of the questions they ask you, and there's no in between, it's either this or this, and it doesn't always, in real life, it doesn't always work out to be this or that. There's sometimes in between that those questions don't always focus on. And so I wonder sometimes how accurate they can be.
Right.
I think what you speak to, though, is in business, it's probably much more process oriented, and it's become so process and data driven. We're looking to create and make things as
right
in the world efficient. It's messy, it's chaotic, it takes time, right? I mean, so I think business perspective, they do everything format, if you will, that get instant results, whether they're the metrics are, and I hired it based on this. It wasn't really my fault, so they have a built-in CYA for everything.
Oh yeah, that happens a lot.
I think sometimes when we take the tests and It's reminds. Well, I haven't looked at Cosmo in many years, but you know, they have the questionnaires that you can take. You know, and if you look at the answers and you think that you fit into Group A when they tell you that you're really in Group C, you're going, that's not me. That test is a whole bunch of BS. You know, we and even in the Myers-Briggs, when you look at the different qualities associated with it, you go, well, I think I'm an A. Really, they're telling me, or whatever, I'm in another group, and you're going, that's not me. I think we try to fit into whatever group we perceive that we're like sometimes.
Well, and sometimes we have blind spots and we don't necessarily know. I mean, we can be very self-aware, and some people are more self-aware than others. But I think even the most self-aware person, or the person that thinks they're most self-aware, has some blind spots that you don't know you have, unless you have someone in your corner that has been very honest with you and, you know, tells you. And that's not an easy thing for anyone to do per se, where most people can't, you know, especially if it's something that is perceived as negative. So again, yeah, we are not always aware of how we're perceived by others. And so the perception can be wrong as well. So there's a lot of those variables as well. So I think it's just important that, like Carla said early on, is that we just are respectful to people, and we don't have to like them, like Brian said, but we should be respectful. And it is important to get the job done. And otherwise, you're not going to have a job if you can't get the results that are necessary. But I think it all goes in conjunction with one another. You know, it's a fine balance, right? Of, you know, we got to get the job done, you know, but do we run people over to get it done? Or, you know, so again, there's a fine balance there that each of us has to manage in the business world, and even in our personal world, you know, there's a lot of balance going on. And so I think it's just important that we keep the focus on the humanity of others, and keeping that focus on there. And I really liked what Brian said earlier about the tests. You know, having more interaction and testing how people interact with one another, I think, is much better than the pen and paper tests that we take to tell us who we are.
Right. And for me, I don't let a test define who Chris Berryman is, because the only person that defines me is me alone. But if I am willing enough to go outside of myself and seek that knowledge and seek that insight from Brian or Carla or Lisa or Sarah, that again, it's like what you said earlier about blind spots, and Brian has said it to me many times. If you surround yourself with people who know what they know far better than you, they can probably see those blind spots that you may have. And it's like what he said before, and I want for him to expound upon, is it's better for others to sell you than you yourself. Right, Brian?
What was that? I'm sorry. You just cut out real quick.
I was saying it's better for others to sell yourself than you trying to sell yourself.
Well, it tends to be easier. Yeah. I mean, people don't like being talked to about other people. People like talking about themselves. So yeah, but it's easier for me to sell someone else and what they do and how working together and so forth. It's hard. And the kind of barriers of they're being sold, or you're talking about yourself, saying how great you are. It's acting. But there's a lot of things that aren't taken into consideration a lot of times. Is that a lot of this stuff is circumstantial, right? Situational. Some days you're in a good mood, some days you're not in a good mood. It's happen, and you look at these questions of when you talk to people or not talk to people. Well, I don't. Depends on how I feel. it's like so cut and dry. It's like, well, I don't know. You tell me.
Mhm.
You know, and I think that's where it gets a little kind of. It's not black or white, as you know.
Somewhere in between.
It depends on how the situation shows up.
Exactly. I mean, you could claim to be the most calm person in the world, but if something comes at you surprising, a surprise, you may not know how you're going to react.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
As an example,
I think a
yeah,
lot of times we don't know how we're going to react until we're there reacting.
exactly. And so many
So-
things can change that. I mean, if it's something emotional to you or something, you're personally invested in, is totally different than if it's something, that you're not. Your reaction is going to be different. So there's a
100%.
lot of there's a lot of variables, and it doesn't change just because you're at work.
Right, right.
No,
So I'll start with you,
no,
Carla.
absolutely not.
What will be the call to action today?
My call to action would be to get to know the people that you work with, get to know people that are in your surroundings, acknowledge them for who they are, not the fact that we're similar or different, and work together to solve problems together or to support one another or collaborate, if you want to call it collaboration, but treat people the way you want to be treated and support them in any way that you can. And what you give out, you'll get back in return.
Lisa?
My call to action would just be to learn to balance, similarities and differences, and respect both of those.
Sarah?
I think mine would be to make more effort, to take the time to get to know people better, and have a more deeper understanding, of others.
Brian?
Just call that. If things aren't working in your place, you're not asking big enough questions. Ask bigger questions.
Well, again, I will go to this for me for my call to action for everyone. Just be intentional on what you do and why you do it. If your intent is to collaborate with people for what they know, and again, like what John C. Maxwell says, many ideas create a big idea, and let that best idea win. Because see, sometimes it's a collaboration of those small ideas that create that big idea. Again, if you can create better environments, you can create better results within that. So that'll be my call to action. Be intentional in what you do and how you do it. Like I said, not only from a collaboration standpoint, but also from a growth dynamics standpoint too as well. And again, as always, thank you everyone for this great and engaging conversation. Hopefully, it will be not only of great substantive value, not only for our watchers today, but also for each and every single one of you. Again, Brian, thank you so much for joining us again today. We greatly appreciate your thoughts and everything like that. Now, for me to get that dinner, I got to get Graham on. So,
I
Brian,
know. You got to get Graham on.
got to get Graham on now. So, we got to work on Graham. So, but again, I'm just so
We
thankful.
interacted the other day. We were talking golf.
Oh, good. Good, good, good. But like I said, I'm just so thankful and honored that I have each and every single one of you in my life today, and I can be in yours. And we're going to do this. We are going to, like I said, be a part of this mission and passion and purpose that is bringing humanity together. Because once we can come together as a community that is unified in what we believe in, the things that not might be in alignment with one another, we can still build upon that too as well. So again, I'm so humbled and honored to be a part of your life, and you're a part of this conversation. because it's going to be a great value to others. Because see, if they see it and they say, "Hey, I get that now," let's just keep it this simple. To most people, can just say, "Hey, I get it." And it's just that simple. So, again, I'm just so thankful and honored you guys are into the discussion today, each and every single Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And if you want to reach out to any one of us, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, Carla, Ryan, Lisa, Sarah. Let's have that great and engaging conversation that we can truly bring humanity together. And again, we'll see you tomorrow for Humanity Happy Hour. And should I even ask, are we growing something tomorrow, Carla?
Are we what?
Are we growing something tomorrow?
Growing something?
Hint, hint, growth. You know,
We can talk about that later, I guess. I don't know.
I always do that to her because I want to get her reaction out, and they're like, "What?
Hey, I pay for this bond, okay? I pay for it, okay? I'm like, what in the hell is he talking about?
Well, we are talking about growth, so collaboration and growth, you kind of go two and two together, So
That's
again,
23 hours from now, Chris. A lot's going to happen between then and now.
That is true. That is true. A lot can happen between now and tomorrow. That is true.
Yeah. Yeah.
So again, thank you guys. Have a great day. Make it your day. And we'll see you tomorrow for Humanity Happy Hour.
Bye-bye.